The Black Death was a devastating plague that struck Europe. It arrived in Europe in 1347. Its arrival marked the start of a period of significant societal upheaval. The plague triggered profound transformations across the continent. The plague's rapid spread across Europe was characterized by its alarming speed. Trade routes acted as major conduits for the plague's dissemination. Increased interconnectedness facilitated the swift transmission of the disease. Major urban centers experienced high rates of infection due to population density and trade activity. The movement of goods and people along trade networks inadvertently spread the pathogen. The plague's swift progression highlighted the vulnerability of interconnected societies to infectious diseases. The Black Death was a devastating pandemic in human history. Approximately 1 in 3 people in Europe died during the Black Death. The massive loss of life led to significant social disruption. The Black Death caused widespread economic disruption. The scale of human loss was a primary driver of these disruptions. The Black Death's mortality rate highlights its catastrophic impact on society. The plague caused a significant decrease in the population. This population reduction led to widespread labor shortages across various sectors. With fewer available workers, the demand for labor increased substantially. The increased demand for labor empowered the surviving workers. As a result, workers were able to command higher wages for their services. The labor shortages directly contributed to a rise in wage levels for the working population. Labor scarcity increased peasants' bargaining power. Peasants began demanding fair wages for their labor. They also sought the right to own land, challenging feudal norms. Demands included greater freedoms from feudal obligations. These demands collectively challenged the existing feudal system. Peasants aimed to improve their economic and social standing. The plague significantly contributed to the decline of feudalism. Traditional social structures were undermined by widespread labor shortages. The drastic reduction in the workforce weakened the feudal lord's control. Peasant revolts became more frequent and intense due to increased hardship. These revolts challenged the established feudal hierarchy and power dynamics. The combination of labor shortages and revolts accelerated feudalism's decline. The Black Death inadvertently spurred urban growth and trade expansion. This was due to shifts in economic activities following the pandemic. The plague created new economic opportunities. These opportunities attracted people to urban centers. Increased urbanization further stimulated trade networks. The plague caused significant disruption to existing economic systems. This disruption led to a necessary reorganization of these systems. The reorganization facilitated the revitalization of commerce across Europe. Trade networks were re-established and expanded, contributing to economic recovery. The plague outbreak spurred a significant shift towards scientific investigation. People sought rational explanations for the disease's cause and spread. This demand fueled advancements in medical understanding and research methodologies. The crisis necessitated the development of effective treatments and preventative measures based on scientific evidence. The Black Death inadvertently played a role in the emergence of the Renaissance. The plague caused significant disruption to established social structures and hierarchies. This disruption created an environment conducive to new ideas and perspectives. The societal upheaval fostered intellectual exploration and artistic innovation. These new movements were key characteristics of the Renaissance. The plague had an unexpected impact on the emergence of capitalism. New economic systems and practices evolved as a response to the altered social structure. The changing economic landscape also contributed to the rise of capitalism. These new systems marked a significant shift in economic paradigms. The Black Death's conclusion marked the beginning of a world fundamentally altered. The pandemic triggered significant shifts in social structures. The Black Death also caused substantial changes in economic systems. Intellectual frameworks underwent transformations as well. The post-plague world was characterized by these newly established social, economic, and intellectual paradigms. The plague served as a catalyst, accelerating societal transformation. It disrupted established systems and norms. This disruption led to the breakdown of old structures. The breakdown paved the way for new societal models. Ultimately, the plague contributed significantly to the emergence of the modern world. The Black Death arrived in Europe in 1347. Its arrival caused immediate and widespread devastation. The plague resulted in significant mortality across the continent. Societal structures and norms were disrupted by the high death toll. Trade routes played a significant role in the transmission of the plague. These routes facilitated the rapid spread of the disease across different regions. The interconnectedness of medieval societies made them susceptible to widespread outbreaks. Trade routes acted as conduits, accelerating the plague's dissemination. The plague caused a significant reduction in the labor force due to widespread mortality. This drastic decrease in available workers led to a labor shortage across various sectors. The surviving workers found themselves in a position of increased bargaining power. This empowerment resulted in demands for improved wages to compensate for increased workload. Workers also began to advocate for better working conditions to enhance their quality of life. The plague-induced labor shortage thus catalyzed a shift in labor dynamics, favoring the workforce. The feudal system was already facing significant challenges prior to the plague. The plague further weakened feudal structures due to its impact on the labor force. Social hierarchies within the feudal system were also disrupted by the widespread mortality. These factors contributed to the decline of feudalism as a dominant social and economic system. The post-plague era saw significant shifts in urban development and commercial activity. Urbanization accelerated as populations migrated to cities seeking new opportunities. This growth in urban centers spurred increased trade and economic activity. The expansion of commerce provided new avenues for economic advancement. Social mobility also increased, allowing individuals to improve their status. Cities became hubs of innovation and social change, driving further economic development. The plague period triggered significant intellectual shifts. It stimulated a surge in intellectual curiosity among the population. There was a renewed focus on scientific inquiry as a result. People actively sought to understand the nature of the disease. The goal was to effectively combat and prevent future outbreaks. The Renaissance was a period of significant artistic and cultural rebirth. It followed the devastating period of the plague in Europe. The era marked a renewed focus on human potential and achievement. It also reflected a profound appreciation for life itself. Artistic and cultural innovation were hallmarks of the Renaissance. The plague was a catalyst for significant shifts in economic structures. It fostered the emergence of novel economic systems and practices. These changes collectively laid the foundation for the subsequent rise of capitalism. The restructuring involved shifts in labor markets and resource allocation. These shifts altered traditional economic models and paved the way for new frameworks. The Black Death profoundly altered European society. It triggered significant shifts in social structures. The pandemic also reshaped the economic landscape. Intellectual perspectives underwent considerable transformation. These changes had long-lasting consequences for Europe. The Black Death's influence extended across multiple facets of life. The plague functioned as a catalyst, speeding up ongoing societal shifts. It also generated novel avenues for societal transformation. Existing trends were accelerated due to the widespread impact of the plague. The plague created conditions that fostered new opportunities for change. Societal structures and norms were significantly altered as a result. The plague's influence extended beyond immediate mortality, reshaping long-term societal development. The plague resulted in extremely high mortality rates across affected populations. These high mortality rates caused significant social disruption. Societies experienced a widespread sense of crisis due to the loss of life. The plague's impact extended beyond individual deaths to affect the overall social structure. The plague led to significant shifts in land ownership patterns. This redistribution disrupted the established feudal system. Traditional land arrangements were altered as a consequence. The changes reflected a broader societal restructuring following the widespread mortality. The plague's impact extended beyond mortality, influencing societal structures. Traditional social hierarchies experienced significant disruption. The disruption of old systems created openings for social advancement. New roles and opportunities emerged due to the widespread crisis. This period saw increased social mobility as individuals adapted to the changing landscape. The plague outbreaks throughout history prompted a surge in medical investigations. Physicians and scientists sought to understand the cause and transmission of the disease. This pursuit of knowledge led to advancements in identifying symptoms and disease patterns. Efforts to treat the plague resulted in the development of new medical practices and knowledge. The plague caused widespread suffering and death, prompting people to question their religious beliefs. Existing religious frameworks struggled to provide adequate explanations for the scale of the disaster. This led to a period of intense religious reevaluation and spiritual searching. Some individuals experienced a strengthening of faith, seeking solace in traditional religious practices. Others turned away from established religions, feeling abandoned or disillusioned by divine intervention. New religious movements and interpretations emerged as people sought alternative ways to understand and cope with the crisis. The plague inadvertently fostered a sense of individualism. This shift occurred as individuals prioritized their own survival. Personal well-being became paramount amid widespread mortality. Traditional social structures and norms weakened under the strain. People were forced to rely more on themselves and their immediate families. This focus on self-preservation contributed to a growing sense of individualism. The plague inadvertently led to new economic opportunities. A significant labor shortage emerged due to widespread mortality. This shortage caused a notable increase in wages for available workers. The demand for various goods and services also experienced a surge. The increased demand was driven by the need to replenish resources and rebuild. These factors combined to create a unique economic landscape post-plague. Public health measures are crucial in preventing disease spread. Historical events, like the plague, underscore this importance. Effective public health strategies can limit outbreaks. These measures protect communities from widespread illness. The plague had a devastating impact on populations. Many families experienced significant loss of members due to the disease. This widespread mortality altered traditional family structures. The loss of parents, children, and other relatives redefined family dynamics. Families often had to adapt to new roles and responsibilities. These changes reflected the profound social and emotional toll of the plague. The plague outbreaks spurred a significant increase in the value placed on education. People aimed to enhance their understanding and capabilities in various fields. This drive for knowledge was partly motivated by a desire to better understand and combat diseases. Educational institutions experienced a surge in enrollment and support. The emphasis on education contributed to advancements in medicine, science, and public health practices. The plague significantly influenced artistic and literary expression. Art and literature began to reflect the widespread themes of death and mortality. The suffering endured during the plague became a central subject in creative works. Artistic creations explored the human response to immense loss and hardship. Literature delved into the psychological and emotional impact of the pandemic. Themes of resilience and the human spirit's ability to endure also emerged. The plague significantly impacted political systems. Rulers faced immense challenges in managing the crisis. Maintaining order became increasingly difficult during the plague. These difficulties led to changes in political structures and governance. Adaptation is crucial when facing significant challenges. Resilience is also a key factor in overcoming adversity. Historical events highlight the necessity of these traits. The plague exemplifies the importance of adaptation. Societies must adapt to survive catastrophic events. Adaptation and resilience are vital for long-term survival. The Black Death profoundly altered European society. Its effects resonated across culture. The economy was reshaped by the pandemic. Political structures also underwent significant transformations. These changes persisted for centuries. The plague is recognized as a pivotal event in European history. It initiated significant transformations across various societal dimensions. These changes encompass social structures, economic systems, and intellectual pursuits. The pandemic's widespread impact led to a re-evaluation of existing norms and practices. This period of upheaval fostered innovation and adaptation in response to unprecedented challenges. Consequently, the plague effectively ushered in a new era, characterized by profound and lasting changes. The plague acted as a catalyst for innovation across multiple sectors. This push for innovation was driven by the need to overcome challenges presented by the plague. Fields such as medicine experienced significant advancements in response to the crisis. Agricultural practices also evolved as people sought new ways to sustain themselves. The plague epidemic significantly shifted societal attitudes regarding death. A heightened awareness of mortality became prevalent due to the widespread death. This awareness prompted a desire to appreciate and maximize the value of life. People were more conscious of the fragility and brevity of existence. The plague experience fostered a cultural shift towards cherishing life amidst constant mortality. The plague significantly disrupted established social norms. Traditional values were challenged by the widespread death and suffering. Existing social structures and hierarchies were destabilized. People began to question long-held beliefs and customs. New ways of thinking and behaving emerged in response to the crisis. These changes reflected a fundamental shift in societal attitudes and practices. Community support becomes crucial during crises. Cooperation within a community is essential for overcoming challenges. The plague underscored the value of community solidarity. A strong community network can provide essential resources and assistance. The plague highlighted the crucial role of government. One key function is protecting public health during crises. Governments are responsible for implementing measures to control disease spread. Another vital role is providing assistance to those affected. This includes ensuring access to medical care and basic necessities. The plague caused significant shifts in the availability of various food items. These shifts in availability directly influenced people's dietary habits. Some foods became more accessible due to altered trade routes or local production. Conversely, other foods became scarce or completely unavailable. These changes forced populations to adapt their diets based on what was accessible. The plague, therefore, acted as a catalyst for dietary modifications. The plague caused significant disruptions to established trade routes. These disruptions created a need to find alternative sources for goods. This led to an increased interest in establishing trade relationships with the East. Eastern markets became more important as suppliers of necessary commodities. The plague indirectly stimulated trade expansion towards eastern regions. New trade networks emerged to compensate for the loss of traditional routes. The plague outbreaks throughout history significantly impacted architectural design. New building designs began to prioritize sanitation and disease prevention. Architectural features were incorporated to minimize the spread of disease. This shift reflected a growing awareness of public health in urban planning. The plague outbreaks throughout history significantly influenced various aspects of daily life. One notable impact was a shift in clothing styles. People began to modify their attire in an attempt to protect themselves from infection. This led to the adoption of new garments and materials believed to offer a barrier against the disease. These changes reflected a widespread effort to mitigate the risk of contracting the plague. Clothing became a symbol of both protection and adaptation during times of widespread illness. The plague outbreaks often triggered a surge in superstitious beliefs. People sought explanations for the disease beyond the natural world. Supernatural forces were often blamed as the cause of the widespread illness. This reliance on superstition reflected a lack of scientific understanding at the time. Record keeping is crucial for monitoring disease outbreaks. Accurate records enable tracking the spread of diseases. Detailed records help in understanding the impact of outbreaks. Effective record keeping is essential for informed public health responses. The Black Death provides a stark historical example of societal interconnectedness. It highlights the rapid spread of disease across populations due to trade and travel. The The pandemic underscores the critical need for global preparedness in the face of crises. Effective public health measures and international cooperation are essential lessons from this event.